Hi, do you hate meal planning and simultaneously feel like you need to be doing it and doing it more and know that it is helpful? If you're feeling all of these conflicting feelings or thoughts or whatever, then you might be doing it wrong. This video is part 2 of what I shared a couple weeks ago, which were ground rules to meal planning. And this is actually walking through each of the steps to meal plan, and hopefully one of these steps you haven't been doing, and it's gonna make it, adding it in is gonna make a world of difference. So let's get started. I wanna talk you through each step that I find integral to meal planning for one person. Start with where feels most comfortable for you, and then add one thing to it. So you don't need to go through step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, whatever. Start with where you normally would and either go back a step or add a little bit to what you're already doing, and then go through the process and figure it out from there. There's no expectation to start. Again, it's easy for us to get in the mindset of, I'm doing this, I need to do this. We're looking at like polar opposites here, potentially. You don't need to do that. I wouldn't recommend doing that because it's setting you up to feel like a failure when you're just not giving yourself the time that you need to figure it out and practice it and make it work. Regardless of where you are, I think this is a really important thing to actually keep in mind because it's going to affect everything. So step 1 is to look at your schedule. I think this is the most overlooked step or not thought about or just not done step of meal planning. And I talk to people all the time in this, especially if you feel like you have these plans of what to make and you're excited about it and then you don't follow through with what it is that those plans of what you're going to make, this is probably the reason why that's not happening. And plan meals around what you're already doing in the evenings or for lunch or whatever meal that you're focusing on. You got to plan on something that's going to fit within that, because if you do it the other way around, you're just planning on whatever meal, you're not going to be able to make it if you're not around to make it. And then you're going to feel bad for grabbing something out when that's the easiest, most reasonable thing to do if you've got something going on. Second step is to shop your kitchen. So shopping your kitchen is a way to help reduce food waste because you're able to plan what you're eating based off of what needs to be eaten first. If you've got food that has been in the fridge for a couple days or produce that is starting to look a little wilty or whatever it is, use that first so you're not wasting it. By writing those down or keeping those in mind, you can then take the next step of choosing recipes. That's step 3, is choose the recipes and do that based off of what you've got. So you can use what you have, you've already paid for or already have, and not have to buy more food or ingredients every week when you already have food around. And of course, you can adapt it as needed, but that's a super helpful, important step 2 and step 3. And to do that in that order, I find to be super helpful to reduce food waste, to save money, and to just actually use the food that you have as opposed to continually going to the store and buying more of something that might be the same or something different. Step 4 is quite simple. You're going to have to do it in some way. You're going to have to come up with a grocery list. Now, you can use apps and resources. There's so many to kind of auto-populate grocery lists. One thing to keep in mind is going back to that shopping your kitchen. Planning on what you've got is a way to cut down on that grocery bill and grocery list because you've already paid for it. And keep in mind what you already have so then you can avoid buying duplicates. One other thing that, like a little quick tip that I do when planning my grocery list is to organize my list based on the section, based on the store that I go to. So I usually go to the same couple stores and I have a fairly good idea of how they're organized, and I will group all of those ingredients together, and that way I'm not running back and forth between different sections of the grocery store, and also not forgetting things as easily. Writing it down is just so helpful so you're not forgetting. items and then having to go back or adapting things later. So step 5 is to prep and or cook. So that can be, you know, like chopping, prepping, whatever it is that you're making. Also you can outsource that by already prepared whatever, to whatever extent, items at the store, or order whatever it is that you want to need to do. But that's the step of actually making the food. Now, what's different here, and I think is such a hugely helpful tip when it comes to cooking for one, is batch cooking while you're already cooking. Again, when I would talk to people, a lot of people would mention like taking an afternoon or a day to batch prep for the whole week and how helpful that is. Sure, that's helpful, but it's also taking up half of or a whole day in your weekend. And if that's how you want to spend it, that's great. If you don't want to spend it that way, that's great too. This is a way to do that. So grains, vegetables, meat, all of these items can be batch cooked, and it's going to take the same amount of time, and you're going to have leftovers that are usable in different ways. So what I mean there is rice and beans, for example. I often batch cook those and I keep them very simple, so then I can use those ingredients in lots of different recipes. I always freeze my rice and beans. Actually, even if I'm going to eat it all that week, I just put it in the freezer so I don't have to think about it, or like open the fridge every day and go, oh, I don't think I'm going to finish that, but I don't want to freeze it. No, it's already done. So yeah, use the time that you're already using. It's going to save you time in the future. It's fantastic and easy, and a way to do 2 things at once and not have to spend half your weekend prepping. This is coming from a blog post, an article that I wrote on meal planning, which I will link in the bottom or in the description. But I don't talk about cleaning up, and I think that's a place that a lot of people get stuck on and really hate, because cleaning is not always the most fun. A couple tips to help with that. If you have a dishwasher, find as many tools and pieces of equipment within reason that are dishwasher safe. There's a million things that I'd rather do than that. And so it's easy to load the dishwasher and let the dishwasher do all the work. It's much easier that way. And kind of tidy up or clean up as you're going. There's often times when you're cooking where you've got a few minutes downtime, and there's a million ways that you could spend those few minutes. But I find that spending that while I'm up and moving in the kitchen, it's I don't know, it's easier to do that way than to have to get up again after I'm done eating and do all the cleaning, or I'll do it in the morning. I am a huge proponent of planning in some way. I think having some awareness and preparation is super helpful to make eating easier, especially if things are busy. As a dietitian, I'm come to the place where the point is to eat. We need to eat frequently or consistently through the day, so we've got the energy that we need to make it through, and we might as well do what we can to make it as easy as possible and also tasty and fill our bodies in ways that feel good and allow us to do what we want to do. It's going to look different for everybody. So how to meal plan for one. Step 1, schedule. Step 2, shop your kitchen. Step 3, choose the recipes. Step 4, make a grocery list. Step 5, prep and cook. And kind of step 6, clean up. There's a lot of ways to address that. As I mentioned before, just a little reminder, when you're meal planning or wanting to get more into that, there's no need to like go through this step by step. Start with what you're already doing or what feels most comfortable and adapt that a little bit, or add a step to that and then expand and continue from there. There's no expectation to start from scratch again. You don't have to do that. You're welcome to, but you don't have to do that. You can be successful in a lot of different ways. Well, thanks so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. I'm curious for you, what does meal planning for one look like for you? Have you found any tips or tricks that are really helpful, or kind of a process that's helpful? I'm curious what you do and what you find to be helpful. And also, if you have any questions about any of these steps, let me know. Again, thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, or if you cook for one and you want more content and resources on cooking for one, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, like or dislike this, depending on how helpful you find it. And yeah, feel free to ask questions. I love answering those through videos, and hope this is helpful. Thanks for watching.